Hello, Geminis, and welcome. Let me just make sure, yep, microphone's on. Sorry about that. Hi, Geminis, and welcome to this, your early April predictions and reading. Very warm welcome to those of you who are returning, and a special welcome to those of you who are new here. Going to go through just a couple of things before we jump in. This reading is intended for anyone born under the sign of Gemini, as well as anyone who has a significant amount of Gemini in their charts. Also about timing. The timing for this reading, I am doing this reading for you here at the very end of March, and the intended timing is for April 1st through approximately April the 15th. Now, one of the questions I get quite often as a psychic, intuitive, and as a card reader is, hey, the timing didn't add up. You said something was going to happen on the 15th and it never happened. There are two different reasons why timing and predictions don't come true. The first one falls into the category of psychics, intuitives, tarot card readers, the cards themselves. When you're dealing with a pendulum, any of these methods of divination, we're tapping into a different realm. We're tapping into a different plane of existence. We're tapping into the ethereal. And time moves at different rates on different planes of existence. So some psychics have become very, very good at being able to judge the time in the ethereal realm and then, track it back to this earthly plane. Others aren't quite so accurate at it, but that's one of the reasons why sometimes things don't line up. The second reason why sometimes things don't line up is this. If you're getting a psychic reading or a tarot card reading and somebody predicts, okay, on the 14th, you're going to, I don't know, get together with your ex. And you're going, nope, I am not walking that path. There is absolutely no way. I'm done. Okay. You then tap into your free will. You make decisions and choices, and you alter your course. You see, when a psychic is doing a reading for you, they are tapping into your energy in the here and now, based on the current trajectory of your life, based on the decisions you are anticipating in your unconscious or subconscious mind, the decisions you're planning to make. If you then don't make those decisions or make different decisions, you alter the course of your life and you alter the outcome. Okay. So on that note, my dear Gemini friends, if you have a super important decision to make, please don't make decisions based solely upon watching a psychic or tarot card reader on the internet, or even 2 or 3 or 4 of us, as many of us do watch more than one reader. By all means, consult a psychic or a tarot card reader. By all means, consult your mom, dad, aunt, uncle, brother, sister, grandma, grandpa, a religious leader, professor from school, whatever the case may be. But then take all of the advice and suggestions that everybody gives you, throw them into a big pot, or in my case, cauldron, stir it all up, and then tap into your heart. And make your decisions from here. Make your decisions from what's right and what feels good for you. All right, without any further ado, Gemini, let's jump in. For those of you who are new here, I do work with several oracle card decks as well as tarot card decks. I found that this is a more effective way to read rather than using a single deck. It resonates more deeply with more people. Also, as I'm pulling cards for you, Gemini, I am going to leave all of them face down until I'm actually ready to read that particular portion of your reading. I will jump back sometimes to the previous cards, but this prevents me from being able to jump ahead or skip ahead. And it also allows for more of the intuitive or psychic juices to flow in a more organic way. Okay, the first card that we're going to pull for you, Gemini, is a card of where you're at now, or cards. All right. Anything else? Is that one going to fall? Yep. Okay. Okay. The next card that we're going to jump into, or cards, is going to be cards of what you are focusing on, Gemini. We're going to have a look at what you're focusing on for April 1st through the 15th. What are the Geminis focusing on? Okay, we've got one card. What else are the Geminis focusing on? Oh, interesting. We only have one card that's popped out. I have had, I've done the majority of the readings for most of the zodiac signs now, and I have had as many as 18 cards pop out for what people are focusing on. And I've had to narrow it down because that's just not reasonable, and people get too scattered when we're focusing on too much. Let's have a look at difficult influences for you, Gemini. Difficult influences for the Geminis for the first half of April. Interesting. There's one. Okay, Gemini. You are definitely turning into a person of few words and insights this month. The next card that I'm going to pull is what we call This Makes Sense. I'm just going to reach all the way over here to this deck. It's a deck I don't use a whole lot, so it sits over there. But I was called towards it. So Gemini, what makes sense? What makes sense and other insights you might be able to reveal at this time. Okay, and we've got nothing. Let's try again. What makes sense for the Geminis? There we go. There's one. So anything else that the Geminis need to know in This Makes Sense? I guess not. Okay. All right. Unexpected insights and influences. Okay. Unexpected insights and influences for the Geminis. Early April. First half of April. Just one, two. Anything else? Yep. Now we're talking. Crazy. Just crazy. All right. Anything else? No. All right. Let's put these in the order in which they came out. Okay. And the final cards that we're going to pull, we're going to look at your general overall outcome. Now, these cards are projecting or predicting what energies are going to be coming in and influencing you closer to the middle of April. There's one. Oh, gee, here we go. All right. I'm going to be shuffling these because there's over 20 cards that have come out here, Gemini. See, I said for some, it's just crazy. All right. General overall outcome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I can tell you that you really don't have 18 cards in your general overall outcome. So what I'm going to do here is mix up these 18 cards a couple of times, and then we're going to go through just these 18 cards and see if we can convince the cards to narrow it down to maybe 3 or 4 cards for your general overall outcome. Well, there's one. All right, so let's go through the deck. General overall outcome for Geminis. Nope, doesn't want to come out that way. General. And we don't. All right, we do have 2 cards here now. Should I go through it one more time? Yeah, 18 cards is a lot. Anything else? Is there anything else for the Geminis for general overall outcome? Yep. Okay. Gemini, let's have a look. Oh, you have both the Prince and the Princess of Winter, also known as the Page and Knight of Swords in the traditional tarot, and you have the Princess of Spring. Wow, powerful cards. Okay, so having the Prince and Princess of Winter is indicated that is very much on an intellectual basis where you're operating from right now. These cards were pulled with the intention of where you're at now, right now, Gemini. And these cards are cards of coming from here, from that mental place, as opposed to an emotional place, or from that place of fire and taking action. This card is indicating that there's something coming in for you right now, Gemini, that you're going to have to approach using a sensible or intellectual solution. You're going to have to use your brain to find the problem. And you're going to have to do that in a somewhat impulsive manner. You'll notice right here the word impulsive for the Prince of Winter. He is an impulsive character. And so that's an indication that there's something coming in you're going to have to act impulsively for. But you can also approach it by being inquisitive, which the princess brings in. This is indicating that there is the information. Okay, I'm going to back up here. Reading the prince first, because he was on top, indicates that there's information coming into you that is somewhat unexpected, and you are going to have to act decisively and potentially impulsively upon the information that's coming in. The princess is indicating that the information that's coming in may be unwelcome. It may be information that you don't necessarily want, but you also have the Princess of Spring right beside it. The Princess of Spring is also known as the Princess of Wands. The wands represent fire or taking action. So reading these three cards together, what this is telling me is there's something coming in for you that's really important, and it's going to require kind of a snap, impulsive decision. When you're making that decision, you're going to be not necessarily in that place of wanting to make that decision. There's going to be information coming in that you don't necessarily want. But the Princess of Spring, also known as the Princess of Cups, or Page of Cups, is basically saying you need to take action on this, because as you do, your creativity is going to flow. It's like releasing your creativity out there. And as you release your creativity out there, it's going to open doors for you, for your dreams to come in, Gemini. And it's really going to be a good thing. But yeah, just be forewarned about some information coming up that it's going to require decisive action, and it's going to be information that's not necessarily welcome. But when you take that precise, decisive action, it's going to open doors for you. Okay. What are you focusing on? Focusing on reaching your destination. Congratulations, Gemini. As I mentioned while I was pulling this card, the vast majority of the other zodiac signs have had dozens and dozens of cards coming out for what they're focusing on, indicating that their energies are somewhat scattered right now as they're going through this change and this shift that basically all of humanity is going through. They're quite scattered in their energies. So congratulations for only having one card come out and really having that focus and focusing on reaching your destination. This to me is telling me that going back to the prince and princesses, that you're probably not going to have any difficulties when this comes up and you need to be making that decision. Let me just tap in for a moment and see if I can narrow down for you, Gemini, which area of your life specifically these cards are pertaining to. Okay, what's coming up for me is just in general, like as a whole global scale. some of you are making decisions and choices regarding your relationships and the boundaries of the people with whom you interact with regularly, be that family, friends, or coworkers. With regards to work, job, and career, Gemini, I do feel like there's a clarity in the direction that you're taking right now for work, job, and career. Romance, again, what's coming up for me is some boundaries. Yeah, with those boundaries with romance, you're going to want to make them really clear. Like I said, there's going to be some information coming in. It's not necessarily going to be welcome. You're going to have to act decisively. But when you have proper boundaries, especially when it comes to romance, romantic partners, beautiful things can happen. A lot of us are scared to have firm boundaries when it comes to romantic partners. And yet, in actual fact, having firm boundaries can make us more attractive to those whom are attracted to us in the first place, or to whom we are attracted to. Okay. I don't know where all this is coming from, because the cards really aren't saying all of that together. A lot of this is just coming in intuitively for me right now, Gemini, that, yeah, but there is some clarity coming in for you. Be brave and be honest. Okay. This card just came up in your difficult influences. It's interesting that before I even turned this card over, I was talking about your boundaries. This card is an indication. So normally this card would mean what it says on it in a general position in your reading. But given that this card came up in the difficult influences, it's an indication that you are struggling with being brave and with being honest. In other words, you are struggling up against making an important decision, perhaps on short notice or impulsively. And also, like I said, I'm feeling like some of what's coming in here is boundaries, and this is coming up in your difficult influences. So that makes sense. What else makes sense? Beauty. This card came up as your This Makes Sense card. And what this card is telling me in relation to your reading as a whole is that when you see the beauty in other people, you have the ability to be able to have an acceptance on a deeper level. But the other thing that's coming up for me is just simplicity. Yeah, Gemini, what's coming up for me is simplicity. Recognize the beauty in all things and recognize the simplicity in that. You have one thing to focus on for the next 15 days between April 1st and April 15th, because that's the intended timing for this reading. Focus on reaching your destination. And like I said, I'm sensing like there is this clear vision that you have of where you want to go and what you want to be doing and who you want to have in your life. And that's beautiful. And it's simplistic. And not simplistic in a negative sense, but it's so much better and so much easier than having this scattered energy. Unexpected insights. You have the 7 of Spring, you have the 6 of Autumn in reverse, and you have the Empress. In unexpected insights, 7 of Spring. This is the card of be assertive. This is the card of boundaries. Like I said, this card was face down. I had no way of knowing that this card had come out for you, Gemini, until I just turned it over. And this is the card of be assertive. This is the card of make sure you have firm boundaries. Do not back down from what you believe in. Now, this is coming up in your unexpected insights. Interesting that this, be brave and be honest, came up in your difficult influences. It's an indication that there will be this minor little struggle back and forth. And, maybe it's a moral struggle that you have going on as well, Gemini, but definitely, be assertive this month. You have the 6 of Autumn, and it did come out in the reverse for you. The 6 of Autumn is a card of karma. It's a karma of unexpected things flowing into you. And it's a card of karma. So the fact that this card came into you, Gemini, and unexpected influences or unexpected insights, and it came in upside down, watch for karma. From the 1st until the 15th of April, just pay attention to karma. I do want to also point out that the karma may not be in your favor, but if you are acting honestly and in good faith, oh, look, you're being reminded here to be honest. If you're acting honestly and in good faith, ultimately, karma's not going to be so bad. But just watch for that coming up for you, the 1st to the 15th. And you also have the Empress. The Empress is about taking action. She's about creativity. She's about success. She's about all sorts of good things coming into your life. But the Empress also reminds us that if we are working towards manifesting good things in our life, we need to actually be taking action. And you have that reinforcement here with your be assertive. And you have that reinforcement here with the Princess of Wands as well. All right, Gemini, let's look at your final outcome. Interesting. Your final outcome, you have the 8 of Wands as well as the 10 of Wands. The 8 of Wands represents traveling. This can represent both traveling ethereally, astral traveling, that type of thing, but it can also represent physical travel. And because this is also in the suit of Wands, so you have the 7 of Wands, you have the Princess of Wands, and you now have the 8 and the 10 of Wands. You have a lot of wands here, a lot of fire energy. The energy of fire is asking you to make sure that you are taking action this month. The first half of April, Gemini, you're going to need to really be watching for things and taking action. And that includes potentially being in that place where you're ready to plan or organize some travel come mid-month, or maybe you're looking at exploring some astral travel. I do want to say, actually, I'm picking up that for a great many of you, you're at this point with not being pulled in a whole bunch of directions. You don't have a lot of wild energies here in your readings. I know that we've had some pretty wild readings, both for you and for many other zodiac signs in the last 3 months. And this is actually a very tame reading for you, Gemini. So it stands to reason that there's a good possibility that many of you are going, okay, things have settled down. Let's plan a trip. Okay. The other thing that you have coming up here is the 10 of Wands. This is the card of suppression. Now, the card of suppression coming out in your general overall outcome indicates to me that perhaps some of the reason that you have these tame energies going on right now, Gemini, this is for some of you, not all of you. I would say this is probably for maybe 10% of you. So a very small minority of you are suppressing your emotions right now, and you're suppressing the necessity to make decisions and make decisions quickly, as your first cards here indicated, and as this card indicated If you want to reach a destination, you're going to have to be making decisions. So for, I would say maybe 10% of you, you are in this place where you are consciously suppressing something because you just don't want to make a decision. And I can tell you, just make the decision to move forward, because it's going to open different doors for you, including opening the door to being able to travel some more. Okay. For the vast majority of you, for 90% of you Geminis, what this card is indicating is, what I'm sensing is, it's less of a, oh, you were doing this, and that's an issue. And this card is more of a, make sure you're not doing this. It's more of a cautionary advice type card of, if you have decisions to make, go ahead and make them. You have a lot of wands or fire energy in your reading, indicating move forward, just keep it moving forward. And so, yeah, I'm going to leave it off there, Geminis. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that you'll join me again come the middle of April for your next reading. Thank you.